Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that feels just about as old as time itself at this point, and that is loot boxes and all the crap surrounding them, including are they gambling, are they not gambling, and obviously how egregious and frankly manipulative they are overall. But before we get into that, I do just want to quickly remind people that, as I pretty much say every time, I am trying to grow the channel. I am trying to get, more eyes on my content. So if you want to help me out, the easiest thing you can do is just leave a like or a dislike on the video, comment on something that you might have heard that you want to speak about, and most importantly, if you think I've earned it, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It all helps out probably far more than you even realize. So with that out of the way, let's get on to the actual topic at hand. Somewhat recently, the company Niantic, I think that's how you say it, Niantic? Something like that. The company responsible for Pokemon Go implemented a system whereby you could use incubators to, incubate eggs in order to hatch different types of Pokemon. Now, I personally haven't played Pokemon Go in a long time. I played it probably for the summer when it first came out, and then I didn't really go back to it as I'm frankly lazy and didn't really want to walk anywhere. But the honest truth is that I haven't played it for a long time. However, I've gone back and taken a look, I've read some articles, I've done some research, and according to what I've read, these incubators, of which you get one for free, are slow ways of hatching these Pokemon. I believe you put the egg into the incubator and then you need to walk a certain amount of steps for the incubator to hatch the egg. But the incubator that you're given for free is relatively slow, and it seems as though you can pay money to buy more incubators, I believe, so that you can have up to 9 going at once, and they will also help cut down the amount of walking that you need to do in order to hatch the egg. And obviously at first that doesn't sound particularly egregious, really, does it? It doesn't sound awful, it doesn't sound too manipulative. I mean, obviously the game is a free-to-play game, so they're going to have to charge you somewhere, right? And also, from what I understand, you do get some of these incubators, the extra ones I mean, for free at some point, but you get a lot of them up front. Like, most free-to-play games, they often give you the first taste is free kind of situation, and that obviously entices people to spend later down the line because you're already so invested with your time. It's that sunken cost fallacy sort of thing. Where I stand on all of this kind of stuff is essentially, I don't like it. I don't like any of it. The only thing I've ever really engaged with in a free-to-play sense is something like a battle pass. I don't spend money on skins. I don't spend money on characters. I don't spend money on random pulls of things or loot boxes, as a rule in general. But what happened was people were getting very, understandably annoyed by the fact that you don't really know what you're going to be getting in these eggs. You don't know any kind of hatch rates. You don't know really what your possibilities are at all. So people were using a lot of sort of anecdotal evidence to piece together drop rates or hatch rates, I suppose, for certain Pokemon within these eggs. And, it's quite hard to get that to be more than an estimate, I suppose is the best way to put it. It's hard to get a proper, solid concrete number of what your chances are. So then, in another update, Niantic said they were listening to this, and they released a small update that would allow you to essentially tap on any given egg and it would give you a list of hatchable Pokemon. And here's a screenshot of that right now. I'm going to put it up so you can see it. You'll be able to see that there's 1 egg at the top and then 2, 3, and so on down to 5, with the level 5 Pokemon being the rarer ones that you can find within that egg. However, you will notice that there is no numbers, there is no actual probability. So really all you know here is that, the level 5 ones are rarer than the level 1s, which you kind of already knew, right? That's something you already knew. I suppose you could guess that it gives you a bigger chance of getting the ones lower down the list, I suppose, the 1s and the 2s, so I guess you can kind of tell what you're getting, sort of. But the problem with this is that the Pokemon that hatch from eggs do have a inherent bonus by being hatched from an egg versus a wild Pokemon that you've caught, just normally. And there is the incentive that I was talking about earlier on. The fact that these Pokemon hatch from these eggs with, frankly, just flat out better stats than the ones that don't, that encourages people to spend more money to buy more incubators to incubate more Pokemon, right? and hatch the eggs. But one of the main problems is that you just don't know what you're getting, and it encourages people to have more pulls of the slot machine. Do you see what I mean? And that's where it becomes psychologically manipulative, because there are a lot of people out there that will just see this as completely normal. They will just keep feeding money, and eventually get nothing, and then walk away feeling really disappointed or even angry, I would suppose. The list that I've just shown you is, sort of a step in the right direction, but it's really not much of a step. It's more of a minute little hop in the right direction. It doesn't really do much for the players of the game, and I feel sorry for them, quite frankly, because, people have been playing this for years at this point and are really deep into it, and I think just a little transparency would go a long way. I've always felt like if games that want to be free to play, that want to charge you, every step of the way, right? If they're going to do that, why not just be completely transparent with it and just tell us what we're going to get and what's going to happen and what the pull rates are? I feel like if you were to just be honest with people, they would be far more likely to spend in your game. I just don't understand why you feel the need to hide it from people. Hiding it from people makes you seem like you've got something to hide. I mean, well, obviously, but you get what I mean. Like, it makes you feel like an untrustworthy company when you just hide everything from people. Being a free-to-play game is not the issue. The issue is being a free-to-play game that tries to hide its monetization. People aren't stupid. We know that you have to have monetization for a free-to-play game. Of course you do. How else are you going to keep the lights on? We understand this. But trying to goad people into buying and then trying to manipulate them into buying is stupid. I know that you're trying to ensure that you actually make some money on the game so that, you didn't throw all that money out there to get no return. I do understand where companies are coming from in that respect, because if the company doesn't make money, the company goes out of business, everyone loses their jobs. I understand. But I just feel like if you were to be honest with people and give us the breakdown of what we can get, how we can get it, and what the rates are, I think you get more people being willing to actually spend. And what's funny is that, okay, you might lose the people that just throw money at you hand over fist, but you would probably end up with a much stronger baseline of spending. If you understand, it would be less, but there would be more of it. So I think that's the way it would go personally. I know I would be more enticed to spend if I actually knew what I was getting and if I felt that the things had value and were actually attainable. And then on the 12th of March, the terrible news outlet Kotaku posted an article basically defending the loot boxes and saying that these aren't loot boxes at all. They are, and I quote, fun presents. Yep, let that sink in for just 1 second. They are not loot boxes, they are fun presents. And now I'm not one for conspiracies or saying that journalists are paid off or anything in general, but damn, this feels like this guy had to be paid off. Obviously, I'm not saying he was, but god damn does it feel like he was. But I'm looking at the article right now and I'm gonna read you a couple of things from it and then we're basically gonna quickly discuss them. It was written by a Mr. John Walker and he had this to say, quote, loot boxes in general are an exploitative tool used by developers/publishers to get players to spend more money on a game they've already bought. They imply that to get the most out of a game, to get an advantage against other players, you need to keep spending and keep paying for more sealed containers that might contain items, accessories, or weapons that could improve their performance in the game or carry inherent worth. It's why they're increasingly recognized as gambling and are even outlawed in some countries. They suck, they're nasty, dirty business, and it'd be great to see games rid of them. He goes on to say, that's not what Pokemon Go has at all. The game's eggs are a system that offer the player no meaningful advantages and all works perfectly well within the core game without ever having to spend any money at all, frequently providing fun, surprising rewards. And with all that said, I don't really know what this guy is on, quite frankly. He doesn't seem to really understand what loot boxes are in general, if I'm honest. He says that they give no meaningful advantages. Well, we've already been over the fact that the ones that hatch from eggs have better stats, and I believe there's also something to do with the shiny Pokemon being easier to get from there and some being actually exclusive to eggs as well. So there's already an incentive for people to buy there. And he's saying that you don't have to spend any money at all. Well, that's completely false, because if you want these things badly enough, you will pay the money, and it manipulates you into wanting to spend that money. even though you might not need to. And I'm definitely not going to be the only person to make this comparison, but that end part where he says frequently providing fun, surprising rewards, it just makes me always think of that stupid woman who tried to rebrand EA's loot boxes as surprise mechanics. I'm always going to think of that now, and I'm sure loads of other people have made that comparison. But look, at the end of the day, no one's forcing you to engage with these games, no one's forcing you to spend money. However, they do manipulate people, especially people who perhaps have not grown up in a time where video games were just video games and didn't have all this outside spending attached to them. People that, just think about it, people that are born now in 2021 are going to grow up in a situation where free-to-play and monetization and DLC and loot boxes and all this kind of other crap is all completely normal. I came from a time when you just bought a game, you played a game, and then you bought another game. That was it. And companies were happy with it. But again, as I've said countless times before, when something gets popular, it tends to get ruined. And that's a shame, really. All I can say is I won't be booting up Pokemon Go anytime soon, and look, if you're someone that likes it and enjoys it, then good for you. I'm happy that you found something that you enjoy, but it's not for me, and I certainly won't be engaging with it. I've noticed a few other people have put videos out on this, especially some big names like I believe Jim Sterling has, and I think Yong Ye put out something on this earlier. I haven't had a look at those yet, but I will later on to see if our opinions line up. If you haven't looked at those two, I would suggest you go look at them. They are far more popular than I am, and I only think it's fair to send people their way when I can, just because they've been around for far more years than I have. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the loot boxes, eggs fiasco. And as I said earlier, if you want to help me grow the channel, the easiest stuff you can do, just leave likes or dislikes, leave a comment on the video if you want to, and if you think that I've earned it at this point, please do consider subscribing to the channel. There's also a link in the description below that leads to my Instagram page. If you want to follow me over there, that would be greatly appreciated. But as usual, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.